We're back on another exciting episode of Starfleet Boy we're at blah, blah.
Deep dive Star Trek.
We have a casual and informal conversation about Star Trek. Today we're focused on meow. Ooh, what are you drinking? I'm so distracted. I'm sure squirrel today. Sorry. we're talking about Star Trek Discovery Season 4, Episode 4. All is possible, and I'm joined by these fabulous gentlemen. Yay! Matt, I'm glad your camera's working.
Me too. I don't know what happened,
but you called the engineering department and they came over and fixed it real quick. Welcome back. Hi, Toddy. How you doing?
Wow. I'm doing fine. Thank you so much for having me yet again.
Yet again. And welcome Braxton and Esri. How are you guys doing tonight?
Hey, Starfleet Boy. This is actually Ahsoka.
Oh, Ahsoka. Sorry. It's not, the switcheroo. Esri was on earlier.
Esri will reappear at some point soon.
Oh my gosh, Matt, your haircut looks great. Did you get your hair cut? You did, right?
I did.
It looks great.
Earlier this week.
Yeah. Well
it does look really good. I like that.
Holy moly. Now I have to get a new wig now to match. I gotta get that.
What are you doing? You need to get trendy wigs. What's going on?
I know there's a whole new wig technology that I can actually have shaved hair on the side and it's still just like
up
Matt.
Your wig game.
Yeah, I'm gonna up my wig game, but not till later, like another time. We have Blue in the audience.
You should just go full Cisco. You should
go full Cisco. Kovich Stan is here. Greetings, my third favorite DSC Discovery episode so far. Ooh,
wow.
Third.
I didn't need the JJ Ice Spiders, but lots of great stuff this week. Let's get right into it because we're kind of trying to keep it at an hour so that poor Toddy doesn't miss out on any of the good conversation because he always has a time limit. But it's a good thing because I think like we could talk about this for like 3 hours easily,
especially this episode.
Yeah. This is a really good episode. But that being said, if if we're vibing and we don't want to say goodbye, any of you guys can holler and we'll just say deuces to Toddy and we'll just keep going. And audience, if you want to stick around with us, that's cool too. But like
throw him the finger and just kick him out.
We'll just see you later. So we're not doing episode summaries, but since you're back this week, Toddy, why don't you go first with telling us how you felt about this episode?
I only read one thing before I went to this episode is that Paul enjoyed it. Like he said that he was disappointed he couldn't come on the conversation because he enjoyed it. I was like, okay. I feel like maybe Paul and I have kind of similar opinions when it comes to Discovery. So I kind of had my hopes up a little, and that wasn't in vain. I very much enjoyed this episode. I came out of it thinking like this not only feels like it feels more Star Trek than I think Discovery has ever felt. But it was just all around solid. I agree with Kovich Stan there, where like I didn't really need the ice spider squid things. Like that was a bit much, and I was a bit disappointed. That whole story just descended into monsters in the chase. I think they could have done something a little more like intellectual with it. But other than that, I really enjoyed the episode.
It was a colony. I'm gonna interrupt you. Just say I was glad that it was a colony.
Multiple
thingies.
I don't know.
It was like those guys. It was like those guys on
CG wasn't perfect on
the animated series.
It was kind of
your CG. I don't trust because you see it crappy on your however you stream it.
No, there are some things that are really.
When I get it on Blu-ray, I'm always like, "Oh, Toddy said the scene was bad," and it's crisp and beautiful. But sorry, anyways.
Dude, he's looking at it on like 720p.
I know.
Yeah, I watch these things in like
he's on 480 actually.
Like, hell is this thing?
You can't watch it on an iPhone 3 and expect fun.
Right. Or like the Ridley Scotts and the Nolans are gonna fight me because I'm watching movies on phones right now. How dare they? How dare they? I was thoroughly impressed with the episode. Actually, I think that like I loved all of the Navarre stuff. I think that this whole concept with like the cadets and everything was really, really good. Kovich is definitely a standout character. I love the guy. So I'm a big fan of Wilson Cruz, and Kolba has forever been my favorite character on Discovery. But I feel like Kolba was born to be this specific, like the counselor
The
character,
counseling
and I feel
piece,
like
yeah.
like this could even be a show, just following the counselor around, like Koba the counselor, following him around and
if I have
interacting
to,
with different people.
I like
Yeah.
that idea, but if I had to have a show, it'd be Starfleet Academy starring Tilly.
Well, this okay. They're clearly testing out like the vibe here. Like this was clearly a test. It was like, okay, we need someone to come in and write, like not a soft pilot, but at least like a trial episode for like the Starfleet Academy, I guess the cadet Starfleet Academy show that they might have in mind, and it could be interesting. Actually, this is the first time it occurs to me, but to actually set that show in the Discovery time frame now, rather than going back and like, because I was assumed it would be TNG.
It adds a
right?
new element. We're building a new
It
federation,
does.
right? Like a new
It
Starfleet.
does.
So yeah, it like creates like a whole new element to
Final
the...
comments would be that maybe I felt it was a bit maybe on the nose, or a bit too simplistic, the kind of fighting that the Tellarite and the Orion had. It was maybe like a bit, but the payoff worked well. So I was happy with the way they like resolved that.
I will also say with that, and I think it's something, I can see what you're saying, but we really forget that there was this whole history of abuse in this timeline. Of all of the, the Emerald Chain came in and just ravaged so many people, and it's nice to see the whole show bring it back into perspective
A
of
follow
like,
up to that.
hey,
Yeah.
exactly. It's
I
one
was
of those
shocked
things
when I
of,
saw an Orion. I was like, they put an Orion in the Starfleet Academy? Oh my goodness! And then so they
and
did
they
the whole
explained
thing
why
about it.
too. Yeah. Which also, I'll just get this out of the way now because I could go on.
Go ahead and go next
night.
with your thoughts. Yeah, go ahead. Give it like a little opening statement.
Oh, I will just first bridge into that little Orion twink has my heart. And
he's my husband. That's my husband, guys. You guys finally met my husband on screen. You got to see him. I'm so happy.
Congratulations. But in any good Orion relationship, you might need to share.
Okay, fine. We were monogamous, but sister wives, it's fine. I'm good with that.
I'm totally good with that. I'll be on the starship anyway. You can have them. It's just weekends, Anyway, I was trying to pull up the cast list too, so I could make sure I said everyone's name correctly. I thought it was an incredible episode. Like, it really felt. And a lot of people I talk to, and a lot of my friends I've had these conversations with all of the previous seasons, I always say that Discovery doesn't feel like Star Trek. And in so many reasons, and it's not one of those like, oh, I don't like that she's the captain or it's all about her. It's like, it didn't feel like Star Trek. And this kind of proved to me that Discovery can feel like Star Trek, with good writing, with good ideas, unique perspectives. There was nothing in this episode that was universe ending. It was an episode about Tilly helping cadets and cadets coming together and overcoming obstacles and everybody coming together, really, with Navarre coming back. But we also got to see the other side, that admiral side of politics that you always see, like the Picard angle of like, he's standing up for the right thing and he's the one, the outside party coming in to fix it and compromise. But this gave you that holistic thing of like, hey, these aren't bad people. They're trying to do the best they can in a society that's completely broken and trying to build everything back. So I just think the whole episode, I will have to say I have two detractors, I guess, of the episode.
2 points, yep.
Yeah, my only 2 points, negative points. One, I'm sorry. Gray and Adira it's like watching wallpaper dry. It might be an interesting pattern.
It's Gray. I'm sorry. I don't want to single out one person, but really? It's a Gray character that doesn't work for me. Adira, I like it.
For me, it's Adira.
Really?
I can't stand Adira. I can't stand the whole, it doesn't seem like the acting and the concept is great. Still there for the concept. But it seems like the writing is a little whiny for being, having several hosts still in you. And it just seems flat. It's just always like adolescently stressful. Anyway, my other thing is did not like that once again. It is Michael Burnham that has to be the one.
But it made sense.
Great idea for a council. Great idea for an objective. Like, yes, we have all these things, and then it's like, but I'll do it. And it's like, of course you will. Who else would do it? Of course, you are of all lands. Like,
but okay, it made sense this time because she's like Vulcan. She's like Vulcan.
She was Vulcan 1,000 years ago.
Yeah, but she's like Vulcan royalty. She's like Vulcan. Father's gonna scream at me. She's like Vulcan royalty because of Spock and Sarek and like their legends.
1,000 years ago.
But she's a legend. Totally that's like a miracle. She came to the future.
I'm gonna be really mean here, and I'm gonna say that everyone on Discovery, even the humans, they're not even technically like. They can't even claim Earth at this point. They don't know anything about what anything has lived through for like thousands of years.
The Vulcans don't forget. Sorry, or the Navarans don't forget.
She doesn't know. She didn't even know that a Romulan existed before she met the Navar. Right?
No, I didn't mean to like poo-poo on your point. That was legit. Anyways, sorry.
And let's also point out that they mentioned the human girl. I forget what her name is. I had it pulled up. The cadet. She said that she was born and raised on Titan. That is the middle of the Sol system, like hub of the former Federation, and she had never met another species besides human.
Well,
like there must have been a lot of changes.
Yeah, and remember, Sol system was they became isolationists. Now that and then the folks on Titan, if I'm not mistaken. Were they the same people? The guy who was it's the same folks who they were pretending to like be aliens and stealing, dilithium and stuff like that, right?
And I agree
so
with
those
that,
guys. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
But all I was gonna say is what I'm saying is like in the Star Trek we know, in TNG, Picard, all of that era, the whole solar system had a diverse array of species already. So for that to then become so isolationist, not just as a planet. But then being like a mono-species on Titan, it would have had to backpedal so far with diversity that you can't even say that it's the same solar system. Like it just seemed weird to me.
It does seem weird. It does seem weird to me.
The fact that we don't know.
Yeah, to me, but it underscores. Yeah.
To me, the inference from that episode was like because we did see when the Earthlings beamed aboard Discovery, we did see other beings. I don't know if they were robots or what, but like I think there were other I'm not sure. But anyways, so Earth, whoever was left on Earth, they went like isolationist and they cut everyone off in the solar system, and that's why the Titan folks were having so much trouble. And I think they might have been all human. It's possible, like just that little colony, but who knows? But yeah, I wish we got more. Like maybe she could have told her story more. Like and yeah, I agree with that. Braxton, do you have anything to say as an opening?
I'm going to interrupt 1 second. I just want to reply. I'm sorry. I want to reply to Valerie because I think Valerie didn't understand. What
here we go. Let's see what it says.
Textrix says Michael Burnham is the Kirk of the show. It would have felt weird if she didn't speak up and have the answer. I think Matt's fine with Burnham having the answer. Like the beef was that like she had the great answer, and the great idea was the what was it, the council or whatever it is that but it's just that she had to place herself as like I'm the all important Burnham and I can be that person within that council. It's not the fact that she had the answer, it's the fact that she was also the center of attention in that.
Exactly. And let's remember that Starfleet was originally supposed to be that third party of the whole thing. Like Starfleet was always supposed to be more of an objective, like we are supposed to focus on everyone, and the Federation Council and everything is supposed to focus on, political matters. Starfleet was inherently kind of supposed to act like that and speak up. Anyway, Braxton, please.
So I have to disagree with you guys. I do like Gray and Adira. I appreciated the opening, and Gray's like looking different. Like I feel like she looks more like the actress who plays her, like with like the hair. She kind of had like the mullet. She had on an outfit that was like fierce. I was like, oh shit, girl, yeah. So I thought the opening scene was cute. I enjoyed this week's story. I enjoyed Tilly's adventure with the cadets. I thought it was fun. Like I thought it was like this like no stakes thing, and then the guy died, and I was like, oh, stakes. I enjoyed.
Steaks.
Yeah.
and not the filet mignon kind.
I
Well, he was
totally.
kind of already sliced.
I totally, and that poor kid, like, I feel like when they beamed out, like, I feel like, shouldn't someone have said, like, oh, like, you need to, like, look for, like, this, like, other person because, like, they've died and you won't, like, sense, like, a life sign, and I feel like he was, like, I don't know. I feel like his life didn't mean a lot, but that happens a lot in Star Trek. I enjoyed Saru and Michael's diplomatic adventure. I really enjoyed the chemistry between the Vulcan leader and Saru. And I enjoyed that Michael was. I mean, because like Kirk used to solve all the issues, Picard solved all the issues. Like, look at fucking Cisco. Oh, I'm sorry.
That's
I mean,
okay.
Cisco
One
was
pass.
like
You get one pass. No,
Cisco
carry
was
on.
like a religious figure, So like, hey, you know what? Like the captain, the leader solves all the problems. That's just what it is,
It makes more sense now that she's the captain. I think people are just like a little like
Exhausted of her always.
They're carrying it over from like like previous
the show has
adventures.
baggage.
Yeah, the show has baggage. That's a good way of putting it.
It's a shame, but Discovery, like, as good and as different as, like, for example, season 3 was, it came with the baggage of season 2 and 1, and every season it has the baggage of
the baggage got lighter every season. Anyways, carry on, Braxton. Sorry.
I did feel sad when I realized that Tilly was leaving. In retrospect, like watching her talk to the doctor, like the last few episodes, and seeing like her kind of crisis of confidence and like her changing her mind of like what she wanted to do. Like I could see it, like when they made the decision. But I really enjoyed this episode. I thought it was fun. I generally enjoy the more actiony episodes where people are shooting and fighting, but it was a little light on this. Like the CG monsters, the CG tarantulas didn't really do it for me, but it was cool.
I think this episode had both. Like it had a little bit of action, it had a little bit of like it had a good amount of each. I think
amateur action with the cadets there.
A quick word for me. I kind of feel like when I first watched it, I was a little bit. The Tilly news just like shook me so much that I was like not. I couldn't like it's like I couldn't process. I was just not having.
Did Mary Wiseman have a baby?
No, I don't think so. I don't know. I actually don't know. I don't.
Someone go ask Noah.
Yeah, we should ask Noah. Yours, you.
What's going on with your wife?
Quick plug with for Trek on the Tube because he's had Noah Averbach-Katz on his show and did a cool interview with him. But no, I think on the Ready Room it made it sound like she's not gone. It's like kind of like a Saru type of thing where she's just kind of like doing a different thing, and like I think that's kind of neat. Like it'll be neat if I have a feeling at the end of this season she's gonna somehow be she and these cadets, perhaps her cadets, like will be integral somehow, perhaps in solving the problem with the anomaly. So we'll see. I don't know. That's my best guess about where they're going with the story, but it didn't feel like a departure like Non when I when I felt, and after I watched the Ready Room and she's like no I'll be back, like it's just like it's not as final as that one felt, so that's good. I'm really glad because I love Tilly's one of my favorite characters. But yeah, so when I watched it the second time I got to like see how well balanced it was, and like Blue earlier was saying that like Blue in the audience was saying, what were you saying, Blue? Disco has been Star Trek all along. Maybe now we're getting used to it. I think like that's like a interesting choice of semantics because yes, technically, like yes, it is a Star Trek show. We're not trying to deny that. I think what everyone says when they're like saying, "Oh, I feel like it's more like Star Trek," is just like there are some tropes that make a like Lord of the Rings. You're not gonna. There's things that you just expect, like that, like make it unique among other science fiction stories. And these things on the whole were either like they were either like deconstructing them, or they were just missing them, or not like putting them in. And I like that, like, again, Sean mentioned, the baggage thing. The writers, the producers, the people making Star Trek Discovery, they truly, genuinely, I'm convinced they want to make a Star Trek show that appeals to everyone, included, and especially people who consider themselves Star Trek fans, who are deeply invested in the story, having seen many, shows, and have certain expectations. And I see that in every season improving more and more and more. So I 100% agree. This season feels the most quote unquote Star Trek of all the seasons so far. They're getting it right. And it's kind of like par for the course when it comes to Star Trek, because it feels like all of the shows kind of like take off at season 3 or season 4. So I'm really glad that that's happening for Discovery. I hope the rumors are untrue and that we get a full 7 seasons, because some people say at series 5 that the show might end, but I hope that's not true, because I'm really enjoying Star Trek Discovery and I think it can do some really cool things.
If they ended it series 5, that just means that they already have 3 other spin-offs with these characters that we're just gonna have to watch. Like, it just seems like everything is fractaling out with everyone gets their own spin-off.
And Sean and I talk about this, we've talked about this. It's like, it is unusual that every crew just stays together, the whole crew, through 7 series. Like, in real life, people move in and out of these stations all the time. Like, they're going to other ships, they're going to Starbase, they're getting a point, that's what was one of the neat things about Star Trek the Motion Picture, is like Admiral Kirk for like 10 years or whatever had been removed from being a starship captain. He had moved on, even though the Enterprise was the love of his life and all this stuff, like, he had moved on, and he didn't realize till he got back to it, he was kind of forced to get back to it because he had to, that's what he loved. And that is what reminded me of the Tilly move here, in a way. So she is not sure of what she wants to do, so she's going off to do something else. So there's going to be a return at some point, and we'll see what happens. But yeah, I really enjoyed this episode too.
For the show now.
Oh, it's Adira. I feel like they've passed the torch. Kind of that Adira shot at the end.
Is she?
A little bit. I think
no, she's not. Not on purpose.
Just give it to Bryce and Reese. Make them the comedy duo or something.
Maybe Lieutenant Christopher is. I don't know. We'll see. But I find Adira to be funny. I think that Adira's endearing and charming with their quirkiness and stuff like that. And it reminds me a lot of Tilly in season 1, when she was like, so I feel like it's that similar kind of humor where, and Stakes is correct. We need Jet Reno, man.
She is gonna. So I was actually talking to Paul about this. And obviously we understand the whole filming conflicts, and that's why she couldn't be in it. But it's one of those things where she brings so much to the character and to the whole thing, with so much more just deadpan comic relief, whereas Stamets is this like neurotic comic relief almost. And it balances so well. So I'm so excited to have her back. I think she's such an integral part of the whole thing.
Tig Notaro made the entire movie, Army of the Dead. Like, without Tig Notaro, the movie is dead. There's nothing to watch.
Also,
and
epic,
they added her in after the case, so after
epic,
the fact. So yeah,
epic how she just
she has such a presence, right?
She just didn't even have to act with the other actors, and it felt like she was there. It was crazy.
I was gonna say 2 things to follow up before we carry on. The whole how we feel about Discovery and how we feel about Star Trek. I will try to find it, but there's a video that Kowalski once made that was really, really interesting, because it was more of a breakdown of like how things are filmed and like what kind of tone you try to set with like the lighting and the mood, and like where you place your camera and that kind of stuff. And he really broke down the differences between, say, TNG and Discovery, and it articulated, I guess, it managed to explain why Discovery doesn't feel as much Star Trek as the other shows, in the way the dialogue is like kind of delivered, in the way all of the shots are executed.
I get it.
If I can try that video,
I get it, because that's how I felt
years ago now. But really,
I 100% get it, because that's how I felt about Enterprise. Like, so I get what people are saying. Like, I just didn't vibe with Enterprise, and I didn't think it looked or felt right. Like, it just didn't. At first. Now I enjoy it. So like, after I've gotten like used to it, eventually you get used to it. But again, I'm glad I stuck with Discovery because I am truly, genuinely, really enjoying it. Father points out, I don't know why I always do this, but I always think it's like 10 years after the original series, just because almost that amount of time passed like between the original series, but it's true. It's only like 2 years after after the animated series, I guess, that the motion picture takes place. So that's a good point. And then Tech Trek also says Mary Weissman has said she will be in more of season 4. Yeah, so we'll definitely see more of Mary, which is good.
I do like the way that this episode, I don't even know how to say this. It feels like they're kind of wrapping up stories, or at least it feels like now we're really going on like a voyage of self-discovery for a lot of these characters, be it Saru or Mary Wiseman. So yes, it does connect into like the friggin' title of the show, but it also gives you like an overarching plot that is not doom. It's an overarching plot that is the growth and the evolution of characters, and I feel like that brings a lot to the show, and this episode really showcased that.
For me, that has always been like, filming's going to change. Excuse me. CGI is going to get better. We're not going to have cardboard sets that are all red and white and thrown together like TOS was and stuff. For me, it's always been that Discovery focuses so much on the action, so much on the like universe-ending paradoxes and trying to figure these things out. And for me, I just had never seen enough character-focused story arcs, and like focusing in on the smaller aspects, peppering them into the season with those overarching ones. And I think that was what, last season and this season too are doing such a much better job at. So for me, that's what I say when I mean it didn't feel like Star Trek. It felt more like just an action adventure movie that wanted to get and focus on what was going on rather than who was doing it. Right. So I'm really excited. That's why I love this episode.
What is Kovich's job anyway? I think he says in this episode that he's a consultant. So, and he's a doctor.
He's Section 31.
He's Dr. Kovich. So,
he's Section 31.
You guys think so?
That is the last remaining vestige.
Yeah, he's like the
temporal Cold War, and yeah, for sure.
That's right. He's an expert on temporal mechanics
he's
and
like
stuff like that.
The secret holder. Right? For what's left of the Federation. He knows everything that there is to know, all the little dark secrets. So he's just acting as a consultant because he's like, yeah, I got some time on my hands. Like, yeah.
I like what he said.
But he's clearly in contact with like the Guardian, right? He's talking to Carl.
Oh no, Carl's gone. Carl pieced out.
He had to move. He's probably
he's talking with the Q or someone. Like he knows.
I think he's just in he's one of those like Section 31 former intelligence agents that probably has contacts from the Tal Shiar that are still on Navarre, and has his hand in everything.
Oh my god, the president of Navarre would be so pissed to know that Tal Shiar are still hanging out.
They're there. 100%. I think Matt's who knows?
I don't know. You got these Vulcan extremists, like these logic extremists, these purists, and then you've got the Tal Shiar on the other side.
I think they're a lot closer than you want to give them credit for.
I like what Kovich said, and on Twitter, shout out to Caleb, who everyone should follow on Twitter. I forget his screen name. I'm so bad with screen names. I'm the worst. But anyways, there was like a spin on it that I hadn't thought about, which is like this is kind of like what educators are going through in real life we're not even during this pandemic, and there are kids that have entered their school years, and then also kids that are going through their most important school years virtual, and so they're not making those connections that you do in person. And so I thought that was really profound when I got tuned into that kind of message. And so I thought that was a really neat thing. What did you guys think?
For sure. I think that we're...
It's Hotty's laughing because you're like, for sure. And then you thought you were going to stop. But anyways,
no, I just was going to say, I definitely think that, these kids aren't getting the interpersonal interactive. Yeah, Rogue Moog.
Thank you.
Rogue Moog.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's House of Moog.
House of Moog, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's gonna obviously we'll see how that ends up 10 years from now. But
I didn't even make the connection between like I guess the real world and what we're seeing on screen. I do think it makes sense in universe though. It's very it's a very interesting plot thread to kind of go down, the fact that these people have been so isolated for so long, and now you're just throwing all this youth together. So yes, it so happens that one of them is Orion, so the conflict is even bigger. But like even for the others, it's awkward. Like if they've never really been around other species, now they have to work together. On these ships, one of them dies immediately. It's like it must be terrifying.
And
God, the trauma.
And remember, the burn was like 120 years, and that's enough time to like start to like forget a lot of the things that you have learned to like, for example, like Vulcans, not being able to stand the smell of humans. Like we know that's like a thing. Like, so like imagine not seeing a human for a long time and then you see them and you're like, oh yeah, I forget, no one told me.
I mean, that's like 4 generations of people,
Yeah. It's a really good point.
So like 120 years.
20
like,
years,
yeah, like, your great grandfather didn't see any aliens. Like, yeah.
Yeah, it's a pretty good point. Yeah. I didn't even think about that.
It resets everything. Like it really does. You're starting
it kind of does.
Basically from scratch. Like you have to have a first contact again,
especially
you have
if you can't move anywhere, especially if you're like in a single spot. Yeah,
like think about the Bajorans too. I mean, they really hadn't come that far into the overall grand scheme of the galaxy. Obviously it was 900 years before that, but think about how quickly they changed for the better, and embraced new things, and how quickly that can turn and go right back. For all we know, they've alluded to the fact that Bajorans are still. Apparently, someone doesn't like Bajoran. That's a paw raid. But for all we know, they could have gone back to being they could be religious extremists now after having to go through the occupation and then being with the Federation for several hundred years, and now going back to being isolated. You never know. Or they could be the ones, that was just an example that really didn't go anywhere. Never mind.
You guys didn't think about Brexit when Navarre was, trying to be like, oh, well, we want a clause in here that says that we can, back out.
Great.
I'm an American. I don't know what Brexit is.
I was thinking about Brexit.
I didn't think of Brexit specifically, but it did remind me. Like I was like, oh, these guys are like the UK. They're like, we're gonna join your European thing, but we're just gonna keep our own currency. We're gonna stay to ourselves, and we're not really gonna help.
Let's talk about let's talk about Navarre and the Federation. What did you guys think of the whole sequence, like the whole storyline, the whole plot?
Dude, I loved the game. It was fun. I like the Federation president. I think she's so good,
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Like her and Michael's relationship is really growing. I feel like when Discovery ends, Michael Burnham is going to decide to leave Starfleet so she can
go into politics.
And she's going to like rep for our president, like after the president is killed.
Being in it,
I think
wow.
the
president's getting
the show will end with Burnham being president.
You think so?
Also, the Vulcan president, she wants to sex Saru, doesn't she?
Oh, I think that was what they were doing.
Sexing Saru would be to determine what his gender is.
Why can't males and females have connections and relationships that aren't sexual?
Well, they can. They can.
No, but Braxton, Braxton,
this is a lot of romantic.
Yeah, it's very romantic.
He got no tea there, no one else got no tea.
No one else got tea. She was like super. She was aware that he was looking at her during the meditation scene.
Yeah.
Oh, was she?
Come on.
Yeah, she was.
She was like, your eyes are supposed to be closed. I'm not doing justice to
everyone was looking at them at the end. They were all
right,
like,
and she's just like, okay, this whole political theater's over. Saru, let's go hang out. Like she's like, I don't have to be president.
Are you here as a representative or are you here as a friend? Wink, wink, right?
Wink, wink, yeah.
Vulcans are long lived. I wonder how old she is. I wonder if she's like 100.
And I think Kelpians are too. I think Kelpians can go in because like what's his name?
The Grand Elder or whatever.
No, but just even the burn started with the young like a kid version of why can't I remember his
A
name?
Kelpian.
Vulcans go crazy every 7 years, but Kelpians, like we've seen them go pretty mad too. Like he can go full
The
predator.
Vaharai, yeah, it's true. You
Yeah,
can go crazy.
So-
Anyways, it could be a fun time. Whatever.
I do have one question. I'm just going to pose it out there. So, Tarina, the president of the Vulcan president, did she do we think that she went through like the Kolinar and she's like Vulcan, or do we think she has more Romulan emotional side than what we would expect? Because I'm getting a lot of that. Like, I don't know how to read it between like.
I think she's a good half. Like, I think that's how they want to play it, because she's not a. I think that what they're trying to go for is that in the council there are like Vulcan purists, like logic purists, I guess, and there are like some more, I guess, Romulan sided people, but she's kind of like a balance. I think that's what they're trying to go for. That's how I'm reading it.
I like that. I want to read it that way. I just want to make sure, because I can never quite tell if she's supposed to have a little more emotion, a la T'Pol, who had a little bit more emotion than most Vulcans, or if it was more like, hey, we're embracing this, and it is, she is obviously dealing with a lot of Romulans. So
I think she would encapsulate like kind of the dream of Navarre, like to have that balance between the Vulcanism and the Romulanism, if you will, for lack of a better word. Stress Free K says Brexit is coming up everywhere as an analogy for the Navarre position, and I feel Michael Burnham is introducing a police commission for the Federation to keep them in line. Interesting.
I like that. I'm so glad you mentioned the Brexit, because I would have.
Yeah, I didn't even think that's great.
Blissfully colonial over here.
Blissfully colonial. You'll be back.
So something else that I really think about Discovery this season, especially, is I feel like it is so beautiful. Like, I love what they're doing with the AR wall. Like, I keep looking at the effects and seeing if I can like see anything. But dude, I think it's just amazing. Like, I was thinking about the action scene when they were pulling Adira out of the ice and she was grimacing. I was imagining how much that would hurt to have like ice up to like almost your knees and people like pulling you with a rope. Like, oh my god, like
they could have fractured her leg. Like 5 people pulling on you. She could have, like, I kept thinking about that. I was exactly right there with you, because every time they pulled, I was like,
Gray got a body,
Sutherland,
but not you. You lose your body. Come on.
Sutherland brought up a good point, which is like, this is twice I think they've made a rope now, like with
in
programmable matter.
Actually,
or was it? I missed the first time. Yeah. Okay.
They totally missed out, because they could have like broken her legs right there. And then they could have like got her up to the ship. Like, Gray would have been there, the doctor would have been there, and like fused her legs back together, and everyone could have had like a wonderful family scene.
See, okay, that is one of the things. I have 2 things with that scene too. I agree with Toddy originally about saying that the whole sequence seemed very like uninspired. Like, you have this hollow tricorder, and it can't do something to like off-put an EM signal.
And it can't, like,
you know what I mean? Like how many times did Dax or Kira or whatever use a tricorder to like, reflect EM signals or whatever? Like, they could have done something a little more.
But you know what? But those women are also like in their 40s. Like, Tilly,
I mean, you're right.
That's a good point.
That is a good point.
She's with cadets. Like, those women that you're talking about, they have.
Also, by the way, I think Dax was like 25 or 30, maybe, but yeah, a little more experience.
Yeah, that's true. They don't know.
380 years.
But if you're gonna say that, then Adira could have had more ideas. But I guess in the panic of it,
and isn't that my point about Adira? We go back to that. Anyway, my only other thing, I was so hoping that we were gonna see the USS Armstrong.
Didn't we see it's the new Constitution class, right? Like, it wasn't it?
We saw it in the Federation headquarters.
In the Federation headquarters, but like, it would have been nice.
A quarter of the front of the but I was so hoping we would get one of those beautiful TNG like orbital flybys as they like warped without, they beam them up, they warp out of the system, and then we get to see one of the other ships. But they do, I will say, I have noticed, and it was a subtle thing that I actually am just now thinking about. It is brighter in space now. After, like, you are seeing a lot more of the ships, you're seeing more detail, you can actually, like, visually see things. So I'm very happy about that.
By the way, that was a cool shot.
Dude, it's the AR wall, dude.
It's the AR wall, and I think they're like they're generally bright. Yeah, it's like brightening up a little bit. I agree with that.
Honestly, if you go back and watch like seasons 1 or 2, like come up with those episodes, they feel very adolescent. Like in the way they made it, like everything has to be cool. It's all neon lights and it's all like dark and they're always spraying smoke in there. I mean, yeah. But now less.
The other thing I liked about this episode, especially the scenes on Navarre, is that I like that the Vulcan feels like the Enterprise version of Vulcan. I got used to like the conference room look of Vulcan, and so I feel like they were in a conference
Nemesis
room.
Romulus too.
Yeah, and a little bit of the Nemesis Romulus. Yeah, you're right. There's a little bit of that going on there too.
Everything that Discovery has ever done concerning like Vulcan and now Navarre from season 1 to now, it's always been stunning and beautiful. Not only did they not redesign the Vulcans and Romulans, they kept them as they are, but also like they really dived into like the design philosophy of the vessels that Enterprise started setting up and everything. And I think that, and even the ship, like the cities, they went and took inspiration for like the animated series. Like everything that Discovery has done for Vulcan has always been fantastic. And I don't like Vulcans.
Were you guys?
I think it's amazing.
Were you guys? Yeah, you don't like the Vulcans. He doesn't, and he also doesn't like Spock. Everyone knows. Just so you know. Well, he likes Spock, but he just doesn't like that.
I have nothing against
he doesn't like
Spock.
that Spock is so prominent.
It's always so Spock.
What did you guys think of Javini's fate? I hope I
think it was fitting. I think it was nice.
I do too, because I always like the fact that in the future there isn't really incarceration, but rather rehabilitation. So the fact that they said like she's going to a rehabilitation monastery or whatever on this planet, and that Dr. Burnham's going to help Javini, to get back to like a good mental state or whatever, was like 100% spot on what I wanted to hear. Like I'm glad
last week's episode.
I want to see her rotting in jail.
Throw her out in the airlock.
She saved a whole species, Braxton. Like I know. And then I also like that she's gonna make amends or have a reckoning with the family of the.
Does that man's husband think that she should be free, dude?
Let's look at this another way, though. Let me frame this another way. If she was a Starfleet captain and she killed a lower ranking or a second ranking officer of another alien species in order to save an entire species, wouldn't we be singing her praises, saying, "Oh, she did what she had to do"?
I don't know. Like, how do you feel about
Braxton's like,
Girardi,
I have to think about this.
How do you feel about Girardi from Picard? Like, Agnes should be in jail too.
I think it's not her fault. She was
Agnes should be in jail, dude.
No, she was under the influence. I love this. You guys are like hardcore. She also should be rehabilitated.
This is a utopia because you're in
apologist. All right. Well, let's also point out that originally Mr. Big Shot wanted to take Data and rip him apart and had no consideration for his own individuality. So
everyone in jail.
Sean's like, let's incarcerate everyone.
So technically speaking here, Sung should be put in jail because he's creating androids, like sentient androids, willy-nilly, like not asking anyone for permission or anything. Are you allowed to do that?
Are you allowed? Do you have to ask permission to have a kid?
I mean, yeah.
That's always been Sung's argument that they're his children.
I mean, I would argue that you kind of should at this point on Earth, but that's a whole.
With our population in decline by 2100, the population's going to go down. I don't think that's.
No, I just think.
Is that a bad thing?
I think
I know it's not.
I think you should earn the right to have a kid. Like everyone's having kids, and it's ridiculous.
I do agree that there's too many children in the orphanage system, and like
Yeah, it would be nice to get.
It would be nice to
adopted.
To get those kids adopted and not have to grow up.
Is there too many kids in the
Yeah, there's a lot of kids in the maybe not here, but like worldwide. There's a lot of orphans and things like that. And so yeah, like I mean, it is important to
I find it ridiculous
continue-
also that it would cost us like almost 50K like Canadian to adopt the kid. It's like you shouldn't be paying that much to help save someone's
Oh,
life.
that's all that it
Like,
costed?
I'm actually am adopted, and it cost over $100,000 for my
that's
family to
insane.
get
See,
me.
that's stupid.
That's because
That's
you're
ridiculous.
And look
American. You
what
gotta
they
go.
ended up with.
a
You
great
gotta go
guy.
to,
We
like-
love you.
You gotta go to like
It's money well
Indonesia
spent. Look
or
at
like
It
or
is
like
money well spent.
Senegal or something like that. You can get a deal.
you.
650 and a burrito
30
is good.
70% off.
Oh my! Adopting
So I
kids is
want
a very
100%.
difficult and very expensive. Yeah, I want
It
it's
is,
it,
It
is,
shouldn't
but
be. It shouldn't be.
it shouldn't be that expensive.
Though I
or-
do understand the angle of like protecting the children. You don't want to send the children to like anywhere, but it shouldn't be that. While we're on the subject of last week's episode, I do have a little a comment that I want to complain about the fact that we never actually saw the alien species alive and awake and talking. And I feel like we really missed the payoff on that. Like I was so
Yeah.
disappointed. They introduced a whole new species,
Yeah.
design
Yeah.
aesthetic, alien design, and it's like we didn't
We
even
thought-
get to see them.
We
They
thought in our
could've-
discussion that they should have been pleading for Giovanni to have a lesser sentence, like a representative from their people should have come back.
She should have just stayed on the friggin' planet with them, and like
Or-
They
her
just-
task is not over. She needs to
So-
carry on and help them like actually resettle and rebuild.
They just rolled out, dude. They said bye.
They
bro.
did.
We're out, baby.
Well, and I kind of was getting the vibe that they didn't know that Giovanni was doing it. Like
Almost,
that
yeah.
was like her thing. And
Oh,
then
they just
when
woke
launched
up
their
like,
ships,
and no one was there.
they just went.
Hmm.
But it would have been so nice if instead of seeing all the shuttles taking off from the moon and going to the planet, if we had seen them landing and then the species emerging out into their new home. I think that would have been a little more hopeful and optimistic. And then we could have seen in orbit, everybody leave.
a la Wall-E with the one little plant coming out
Yes.
of the dirt there.
I
You
think
know-
that would have been a great Wally moment. Yeah.
I was imagining like what their movements must be like if their bones are latinum, like because I feel like
Well,
Um,
it's just that a lot of their body is composed of latinum, like their
Mhm.
biomatter is latinum, but not necessarily their bones. But it could be the bones. Sorry, but carry on.
I was just imagining like how like heavy their like freaking skeleton is. I was just
Ooh.
imagining how they move.
Actually, it
And
would be
didn't we
cool if their
also-
skeleton was latinum. Oh my gosh! But latinum's a liquid, right? So it would
I
be
was just going to say
maybe
in
their
D-
blood or something
in
else.
DS9 because
Yeah.
Morn has it, he drinks it.
Oh, Morn drinks
Yeah.
latinum?
Well, no, he has another stomach, like an auxiliary stomach, and
Yeah,
so he
that's
hides.
How
He
lost
hides,
his
like-
hair and that.
Yeah, he hides a
Who mourns
fortune.
for Morn?
Yeah, he hides a fortune of latinum in that other stomach, and then that is one interesting thing. Like that, I think it cracks me up is that Lurians probably have full heads of hair, but every
it's just
Lurian,
canon that they're
yeah,
all bald
but every
now.
Lurian is like bald because not many people like probably remember that the latinum is what made him lose his hair.
No,
so,
no one
yeah.
went on the
And-
no one went on the Memory Alpha page for Morn before they.
I don't
created
even know if
another
that's something
Lurian.
you would catch.
Oh.
It's like.
Did anyone
Oh.
else catch when they were in HQ the background just like blah, 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 and the ramble, the white noise? They did say Ensign Morn, please report to.
Oh no!
something.
Wait, there was
In
a,
this
a
episode,
nice.
they said.
Oh,
The
wow.
captain of the ship.
Someone's
This
a
is
fan
episode
of
one,
Morn
but-
somewhere, right?
The captain of the
is it?
ship that comes to save the cadets is named Captain Imahara, which I believe is a homage to Grant Imahara, who passed away, and he was also on Star Trek Continues. He played Sulu on that show. So yeah, that was cool. I think I asked the Discovery writers; they haven't answered me officially, but I think that wow. I mean, I asked them on Twitter. I didn't like call them, and I was like, "Yo, Discovery writers, like, what's
No,
up?"
I'm disappointed. They haven't answered yet. What's going on?
I don't know. Not everyone.
Yo,
Yo,
Kurtzman,
connection.
the
Like,
fuck?
who knows? They might have me muted. I don't know. Like they might not even see my tweets. Like maybe Starfleet Boy is like too much for them. But but anyways,
Kurtzman has me
Kurtzman's
blocked at this
assistant
point.
comes in with a tablet with like your tweets. Starfleet Boy has tweeted once a year.
Textrek says maybe Morn had hair artificially installed and then the latinum made him
I
go
love
bald.
that.
Oh, that could be true.
He wanted to be different from everyone else in his species, but it got the best of him. He still lost his hair.
Textrek thinks it wasn't Morn but Ensign Chow or Choi
See,
that that was over there, but who knows?
I'll
watch it again tonight. I'll let you guys know.
Yeah, I want to double check. I mean, obviously, correct me if I'm wrong. I heard that one, but I thought there was another one later in the episode where I heard either Ensign or Cadet Morn.
Before
it could be not. I could be wrong.
Before Toddy has to go and have his Oreo cake, I want to ask, what did you guys think? He does. That's what
and
he's
eat
doing.
it too.
And eat it too. What did you guys think of the cadet characters, and in particular, what did you think of like the revelation of Cadet Harral and his father's involvement as an activist? Yeah, okay, great. As an activist and that whole scene. Any one of you guys? Actually, Toddy, since you have to leave, go ahead and give your thoughts.
I agree with Matt. I think it was a bit obvious that like clearly the Orion guy was like going to be someone that wasn't an Emerald Chain Orion racist, like xenophobe gangster guy. Clearly he was going to be someone nice and from a family that was nice. But just having him as like having him connect to like his father was the activist that helped write some of the charter that they took to the to the negotiations at the end of season 3. That was really cool.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the characters were actually pretty well written and pretty well explored for like the one episode where they were, like more than the bridge crew. And like I think that the actors were.
That's a really good point, actually.
The actors were
we know more
solid.
background on the cadets than we do.
Yeah, because we got Tilly asking them who the fuck they were, and they're like, yeah, well, we're this person. Oh, that's interesting.
We should have gotten.
I don't remember their names.
Pike got everyone.
Yeah.
And he just asked for everyone's name, but like, yeah, we should have gotten more about Bryce and Reese. We've gotten little bits, but yeah, a lot more. I agree. Cadet Harral was my husband. Cadet Taz Gorev is the Tellarite, and then Cadet Val Sasha was the humanoid. So,
was he a Tellarite?
I think that's
yes,
what he
it's part of my
is,
notes.
right?
My note is literally still don't like the Tellarite design.
But it just looks
he
like
is
a
a
pig,
Tellarite.
right? It's like a.
It looks like a wild.
It's like a pig person. Like
That's like a Tellarite.
That's what Discovery are doing. They're just like big people.
I didn't even I genuinely thought it was just a different, like a new species that was. I not even realize it was a Tellarite.
They've appeared before in in new Star Trek.
They look very different. They look different throughout all of Star Trek. In fact, they're a good case for Star Trek changes its species constantly because like the Tellarites look different in TOS, they look different in Enterprise, they look different.
Get no respect.
Yeah, they get no respect. They have those creepy eyes in TOS, like the no eyes, the hollow things or whatever. And then they look different in Discovery. They're the most different. I think they've given them like tusks and stuff. Yeah.
Did we ever see them in TNG,
Voyager,
or DS9?
I pointed out TNG, Voyager, and DS9 kind of like didn't go back to the classics.
There's a whole thing. There's a whole thing with
like
Gene Roddenberry didn't want to do the same species that he had already done in the original series in TNG. Like he said, I don't want to do the same ones. And I think Rick Berman maybe just carried on that kind of thing. Or maybe he got so caught up with his other things like the Bajorans and the
and
they didn't really think of going back to that.
We see one Andorian in a holodeck thing where Lal is trying to decide what form she's gonna pick, and it's like a bizarre new interpretation of Andorian.
We don't speak of that Andorian.
That was bad.
I love that Andorian, but whatever.
That's like a new wave psychedelic music video. That was what I would draw. That's a holodeck one.
And then the Orion
artist interpretation, I guess. That's like creative liberties were taken with that Andorian.
And then if you watch Trek on the Tube's video on Orions, the Orions were mentioned in Deep Space Nine. The Orion Syndicate was mentioned, but we never saw an Orion throughout the whole run. As far as I know, I don't remember seeing an Orion ever. But we got Bolians.
Sometimes
we got a bunch of
new. It's difficult with Deep Space Nine because Deep Space Nine had a lot of characters that just pass like in the boss scenes or when they're on the station. Sometimes they have just like people that go in the background and you're like, oh goddamn, I never saw that was that species from the original series or Next Generation. So it's hard to like really catch them. Maybe I'm mistaken in saying that we know Orions in Deep Space Nine. Perhaps there was one that crossed the camera at some point.
We did see Orions in the animated series though, so we can't forget that. We get them different kinds too.
They were blue.
In the animated series. to Tex Trek's point about Rick Berman changing his mind, it would have just been nice if he would have changed his mind and let gay people exist.
This is true.
Yeah.
Regardless of whether they were blue or green.
They mentioned
I would've
Andorians
taken
and
any color.
Tellarites in DS9, but weren't allowed to show them, so that's cool. Apparently, there was another sighting of an Andorian on Ryza on Captain's Holiday.
That's right, there is.
Yeah,
He's
I definitely
having
wanna
lunch
see
or
that.
something.
I definitely
You wanna find
loved.
that.
I loved all the cadets, and I totally, for the first time, was like, I never was excited about a Starfleet Academy spin-off before, but like with this new twist of like rebuilding the Federation and like, you know, they're kind of like the first of their class in a long time and all that stuff, I kind of like this idea now a lot more, and especially if like Tilly is at the helm, you know, Mary Wiseman is at the helm, I think that would be pretty awesome.
Do we know, like, for background information on, obviously, in Discovery, do we know where Starfleet Academy is? Have they mentioned, or has there been behind the scenes that I missed? Like,
I think everything. Oh, there's the
There he is.
Andorian.
oh,
I think.
Why?
Look at him.
It's a lot.
That's crazy. That is crazy. It's true. Okay, I take it back. It's not as cool as I remember.
Look at this antenna. Look at that. There's like a 3 antenna, one stacked on top of the other.
Father says Star Trek 90210 coming soon to Paramount Plus.
Originally, they wanted to release that thing on like the CW. Originally, that was the discussion. They had CW writers, and they wanted to release the Starfleet Academy show on the CW. And I was like, I can't deal with that. I know that the target audience is watching the CW, but I cannot deal with like
You can't deal with it being on.
Prodigy is
Hey,
fine
Superman
'cause
and Lois
it's
is on
kids, but-
CW.
Oh,
Dude,
man.
wasn't Star Trek Enterprise on the UPN like when it aired in the early 2000s?
Mm-hmm.
What is
Yeah.
that?
Mm-hmm.
Like
UPN.
I think Voyager launched UPN, and then
UPN is
Voyager-
like
yeah,
the
Voyager was
CW.
the flagship.
Yeah, it was like the CW. It's true. Real quick before Toddy has to leave, this Enterprise snow globe was pretty cool.
Beautiful.
Dumbest ship design.
Uh-oh. You're gonna have all the Enterprise people, all the Enterprise people come after
Come
you.
for me.
Acknowledge the
Come
respect.
for me. Try to run me down in your NX-01 tin can.
I thought it was cute, dude.
Hey,
It
All-
was,
come
it
on,
was
but-
cute.
Matt,
It was
but is
Matt,
the all-
you have to at least give the NX-01 the fact that they did that top ship and bottom ship for the double warp field, like the double shield warp bubble thing. That was really cool.
I remember. Trust me. Top
Okay.
and bottom ship, all there. I'm right there for it.
Okay.
You know.
It just has to be the Enterprise E, right?
Yeah, that's what.
Well, yeah,
My
you would
only
do that
thing about the
maneuver way
NX-01,
cool.
I wish, and this is such a stupid little nitpick, but I wish the snow globe had the NX-01 refit, so that we could have finally seen it canonized.
Because
that
would have
been the timeline.
You're right.
That would have
You're
been the
correct.
time period that they would have known.
Well
I
done.
wish it would have been the refit with the secondary hull. That's my only gripe.
Correct.
I wish they would have done that to like officially put that.
Do you have it? Is that a model that exists? Oh, right on.
Oh, it's such a good model.
Oh, hold
that
on, let
I
me-
love.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
It is the
I
only
would have
ship
loved
that
to
is
see
not
that.
canon that I accept in my collection. And that
Oh
I
my
just
god, you
needed
only
because-
have canonical
ma-
ships in your collection.
Yeah,
other
it
than
makes
this.
no sense that this is not canon. It's wonderfully designed.
It is.
Beautiful bridge
is-
between the two. Ugh.
It's fantastic. Make it canon. Mr.
Oh man,
Kurtzman,
if the
I know
show
you
had
watch these
if the
things.
show had gone on, there could have been a cool
Right.
thing where Archer was like, "We got so much more space on the ship." Like, you know, like they could have and
We have
like
so much more room for activity.
for
Yeah, like
activity.
no one's ever in the secondary hull. They just get it to death. Where's everyone?
Father
Oh.
says, first of all, if Enterprise had lasted another year, it would have been on the CW. NX-01
No.
shakes apart if you try to do faster than Warp 5. And also, I love the NX refit, but only 5% of the people who watch would have known what it was. Hey,
Okay, but how many people understood?
Yeah,
like,
that's right.
Anybody
They
that's not a
would've- they
hardcore
would've-
Star Trek person.
what do you
They
think?
would've- know it was
They
in the
would have
snow
said it
globe
was
anyway.
25% different.
That's two references, by the way. That's two references this season to Enterprise now. What do you think's going on?
We're talking about rebuilding the Federation. There's a new president. We're talking about creating Starfleet Academy. It connects. It makes sense.
It does connect really well. It's true.
We're also going to have like some sort of, I don't know, like holographic Jonathan Archer at some point, or T'Pol or something. Like
Scott Bakula's going to come back. Hey, what's up?
The anomaly's going to burst open, and out of it is going to fly the NX-01 refit with the whole crew.
Yeah,
and they're going to be like,
it's going to be like, where's my actual?
And they're like, everyone's going to be in the 32nd century now. Like, everyone's in the 32nd
Well, you did hear that they did say, Kurtzman did say that a Star Trek Ultimate crossover is inevitable. So
oh, I just got chills. Oh my I'm here for it. It's just one episode. Come on, it's fine.
I'm willing. I have an open mind. I have an open mind.
Do you guys have anything else to say about this episode? I think. Oh, the only thing we didn't cover, sorry, was just real quick. I know you have to go, Toddy, but tell us your rating, I guess, before you go.
I'll give it a solid 8.
Nice.
It wasn't the most magical of Star Trek episodes, but I think it was really solid, and it gave me the good vibes of a Star Trek episode. So yeah.
We really quickly, thank you, Toddy. We really quickly touched on Culber and Book, but I just wanted to say that was a really cool scene. And I just have one question for everyone, which is wait. Okay, fine. I just had just real quick question. So Book asks him like, "What are you trying to wipe away?" And we get that mysterious answer where he's like, "Maybe another time." I thought there's no more stuff for Culber like to deal. What do you guys think is behind that statement? Like, anything comes to mind?
Toddy, you go. No. You got to run.
Toddy's like, no. Okay, fine.
I have no thoughts on this. I have no thoughts, but I do agree that like the Culber book and the Stamets book scenes this season have been working very well for me. I enjoy them.
Yeah,
they're a great B or C plot. Like, I think it's solid. Yeah.
Totally.
All right, cool. Audience, wrap up with your thoughts about this episode and ratings. And I just want to say one last note. Toddy, you can go. I know you have to go. It's fine. I'm just gonna.
Oh yeah, Toddy, remember that hand thing I was gonna do to you to get rid of you? Yeah.
Yeah. Here you go. Bye, Felicia. Bye, Felicia. You don't have to say. But if you can't stick around, we won't be too much longer. But carry on. Yeah. It's up to you. He doesn't want to leave. I love him. All right. I don't want him to leave. All right. Bye. Bye. He used to be my work husband, but now it's, the cadet. So it's I'm just kidding. He's still my work husband.
No, you can have Toddy. I'll take the cadet.
Okay, fine, deal. What was I gonna say? The scene where one thing I did like about Gray and Adira is that I do like that they went off on separate adventures and kind of like separated. But I also like that Gray is encouraging that, because there was another profound line that I kind of like feel like everyone at some point when they're doing something new or something that they're unsure of can relate to. But why do you start with "I can't" when it comes to new connections? Like, wasn't that like such a great question that Tilly asks Adira? And it's a good question. I think Adira shouldn't have really necessarily answered. Like, maybe it's something that Adira should sit with and think about, but Adira is a kid, so whatever. But but yeah, that was really profound, and it got me thinking too, because like, not just with connections, but just like, we do tend to start with, oh no, I can't, like, oh no, that's too hard, or like, oh no, it's too stressful, or this and that. So I like that sentiment a lot, and I think it's a good place to end on this episode, because this episode did a great job of like conveying these like messages about connection and reconnecting and things like that. I'm going to give this episode a 9.5, another 9.5. I know I started out giving 10s, but I'm going to hold on these 9.5s for a little bit, because I feel like something super exciting is coming this season. So I just want to like, kind of save it a little bit. Braxton, what do you give the episode, and any final thoughts?
Michael Burnham has to beat someone up in order for me to give out a 10. So I can't do a 10. So I'm going to go 9.2 on this one. I really enjoyed this episode.
One little quick thought on Book. I was glad to be wrong. I thought they were just gonna wrap it up in a nice little bow, and like the grief was gonna be over. I am so glad I was wrong, because it does feel more real that he had a moment like of peace and reflection, but it does come back. Like it's not something that it's something you have to work at constantly to get over.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed that they
I like that because grief is that way. Like, you talk to people who lose someone and like, oh yeah, I have like my good days and my bad days. So like he seemed like he had taken some strides, but then he had a setback.
Yeah.
Well, and that's what we all said last week too, is that we hoped that they would continue, and I think it's really so nice that we are seeing that, and we're seeing this whole progression with Culber, helping people to help himself, to also, and I was very happy with how Culber handled it too, where he's like, this, the sand is nothing like, Quai Jean used to be, because you had to do all these things, and Culber was, and in my back of my head, I was like, just tell him it's never going to happen. Like,
and he did it.
Rip the Band-Aid off. And then he did. He was like, but this is the closest you're going to get. So you need to learn to deal with this. And it was that cold bucket of water that was like, oh shit, you're right. Like,
it was a heavy scene.
The whole thing was so good. It was a very, very good scene.
Great performances. Matt,
I really enjoyed the Doctor's transition. Like it's been good.
Yeah.
I like him so much more than I used to. I used to, like, he was kind of that, like, it just always, whenever I saw Stamets and Culber on screen together, it was that bitchy old gay couple, and I was like, all right, this is a little, like, and he was, like, snippy, and he was, like, nah, 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 and it's, like, he's become so much more than that now, and I'm glad to see that he is getting what he deserves. So,
if you'd like, give us a rating and any other final thoughts that you might have, Matt.
I'm gonna have to give. I don't really have any other final thoughts. This is just an incredible episode.
Great discussion, by the way. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, seriously, the last two ones have been really good. They all are.
Thank you.
Last couple thoughts. I still really wish that we would have seen the USS Armstrong. I wish we would have seen the inside of even the transporter room of the Armstrong, which I'm sure would have just been the same resetting of whatever else they're using in Discovery. But I think it was a fantastic episode. 9.98.
Oh wow! Oh wow!
Awesome.
Oh wow!
I'm gonna go with. I can't give it a 10. It's not quite 10. But I will say, Michael Burnham, she's doing it for me now. She's coming around. She between
this is a big deal.
Last week.
Yeah,
it is. Well, because like between last week of her like questioning and like I'm still self-righteous and like everything needs to go my way, and then this week it seemed like she took a step back and was like, oh wait, these are intelligent people who know what they're doing. I just don't know this aspect of politics. And like she's starting to realize like, oh, like there is more nuance and there's more of this, and I think it's really nice to see that she's becoming like a fully well-rounded character. So.
Yeah, that's cool.
Michael also got her braids redone this episode.
She did.
Yeah. Like the opening scene, I could see it.
There was one. Did you notice like one weirdly thick one that was like different in the back?
Oh,
like,
I didn't notice that.
I kept looking to see like, is that on purpose or is it just how they're tied back? I was trying to figure it out. Anyway, but yeah, I agree. She did.
Sonequa's always had great hair. This is my favorite, though. My favorite look so far of Sonequa on Discovery.
Those dress uniforms.
They are. They make up for. I've never been fully satisfied with the new uniforms. Like I don't know if I dig the asymmetrical thing, even though
I don't.
I
don't like the new uniforms.
The TOS uniforms are asymmetrical. But I did love the dress. I wish that's what they wore all the time. Like I love that with the little metal epaulets and the collar, the Prussian collar. It's very cool.
I only wish that and this is such a stupid nitpick, I wish the pants and the dress uniforms were black. I don't like it being just all maroon.
Oh, all
that's
maroon.
That's just me.
Yeah. Oh, this is their monster maroon. I just realized it's kind of like
this is their.
Yeah, that's very cool. Real quick before we go, do you guys have anything to promote this week?
No, I don't.
I think that's PG-13.
After dark, we'll have to do it after dark, where you'll come on as a guest and we'll do some fun stuff and talk.
There's something dropping soon. but it's not safe for work, so it's fine.
Everyone go check out Text Trek tomorrow. Father says, I have lots of thoughts on this, and so does Dave and Brian. We will be sharing them live tomorrow at 7 p.m. Central, so tune in. That's 8 p.m. Eastern Time for a very fun deep dive into this episode of Star Trek Story with lots of screenshots, which I love and adore that you do that. Also, Father takes a lot of time to do it. Like, he puts a lot of work into it, so we appreciate you, Father, and look forward to tuning into that tomorrow. There will be a Starfleet Boy After Dark tomorrow. I'm thinking of doing another watch along. Everyone keeps messaging me saying that to do more watch alongs. We are also going to do daytime, like PG watch alongs, so don't worry for those of you that After Dark's not your vibe. I promise we're going to do some watch alongs. So we'll figure something out. We'll talk offline. And determine what tomorrow's After Dark was. So stay tuned for that. Also, if you guys like, you can subscribe to my daily note, or you can look at it on Twitter. I post it every day. It's been an evening note lately, but I might go back to morning notes. We'll see, but it comes out at some point during the day. So please check that out. And then follow these wonderful gentlemen on Twitter, and of course go check out Trek on the Tube. And shout out to Paul Sutherland, who actually also liked this episode, and he was bummed that he couldn't be here. And
I really appreciate that you kind of made that look like he was dead. You were like, shout out to Paul Sutherland.
Yeah,
like, R.I.P. bro.
And on his behalf, I will promote that if you guys go check out SutherlandSanto.com, that's his design firm. They launched their first product, and I ordered one, and I'm so excited. I can't wait till I get it so I can show it off on screen and stuff like that.
Oh,
but it's
sweet.
it's called the Jewel Cup. It's gorgeous. It's really well designed, and I love to support handmade stuff as well as fathery. I love to support like small businesses and handmade stuff, so it felt great to help to do that this Christmas, so this holiday season. So I'm looking forward to that. So everyone check that out. Live long and prosper. Audience, thank you so much for joining us. Another fun discussion. We look forward to next week. Live long and prosper, and